I started creating a larger document, and I thought it was going to be a long article, but as I continued to build it, and I went on PubMed, which is our government's, it's the world's largest database of medical and scientific information. It's accessible to all the public. Anyone can go on there. And I started researching things on the vaccines. It was like trying to drink water out of a fire hose, Doc. I mean, studies were coming at me left and right, you know, in addition to the hundreds of studies I had then, you know, a couple 200-300 studies. And I would go down these rabbit trails and find all these other studies. And these are from mainstream journals. These are from peer-reviewed journals from all over the world. And so it just kept building and building and building. And eventually, kind of like you alluded to, it's an ebook that now currently has over 1,400 studies that contradict what we're told about the safety and effectiveness of vaccines. Talks about the conflicts of interest and the bias in the research and the conflicts of interest between our health agencies like the FDA and CDC and pharma, where people from pharma get important positions within our health agencies, and then they help to run those health agencies, and then they go back into pharma in very lucrative positions. And so there's this revolving door, kind of an incestuous relationship between our health agencies and the pharmaceutical industry. So so that was the project, and I wanted to create something that was, it's really never designed, it's not, I never meant it to be designed to be read cover to cover. You would get really bored probably trying to read it cover to cover. But what I did is
and I'm like, is this going to be like all like scientific data, or is he like parsed it out?
Yep.
So how do people like access the information that they're like looking for? Do you have it broken up in a specific way?
Yeah, great question, Dan. So one thing that is really unique about this, and I really believe it's the most comprehensive expose on this topic ever created, but what I did was I broke it down into sections, and then each subject under each section, I created a link or a title in the table of contents. So it can be read best on a computer rather than an iPhone or a mobile device. You can click on the title of the table of contents, title of the subject you want to go to, and if that's on page 580, it'll take you there just like that. You'll be on page 580, so you can navigate back and forth. And then basically, I've taken some of the conclusions and the summaries and so forth from these studies with specific quotes from the studies. And then I also put the link to the study on PubMed or the source journal. So people they want to check it out and see if what I'm saying in there is true. It's a click away. And then they can read the whole study and they can look at it. But literally, this work, it's more the work of thousands of scientists than myself, thousands of scientists. And I reviewed the major journals in here, and the journals represent 45 different medical and scientific disciplines, including like the most prestigious journals in the world, like the Journal of the American Medical Association, the New England Journal of Medicine, Lancet, British Medical Journal, the journal Vaccine. I could go on and on and on. So when people say, you're a chiropractor, you shouldn't be giving people advice on vaccines, what I tell them is I see myself as a journalist. And really what I'm doing is it's not my advice. These are people a whole lot smarter than me in the areas of research and science, people who their life's work is doing this, putting together these meticulously done studies, and then I'm just basically sharing the information.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so like when you started like searching, was there certain keywords that you looked for at the beginning, like vaccines that are harmful, or is there certain vaccines that you're out after, or how did it all start?
Yeah, let me share with you something I've learned since I started this project, and it would be very difficult to do this project today, and I'll tell you why. Because back in the day when I started this about 4.5 years ago, Google and the search engines and everything, when you put in adverse events for vaccines or vaccine adverse reactions or something in the search engine, you would come up with a lot of studies that really discuss the adverse reactions in vaccines, and a lot of websites where people have accumulated a lot of information on the side effects and the lack of effectiveness of vaccines. It was like cherry picking at the time. I could really find a lot of information there. And then, of course, you can go to PubMed and put in keywords, and you can find things that way, which I did and do. But what has happened now, and many of your viewers are aware of this social media censorship, but what has happened is search engines like Google and so forth, and anything associated with Microsoft, they have changed their algorithms. So anything you put in about vaccines or vaccine negative connotations in any way, they bring you right back to all of the medical websites, you know, the CDC websites, the Medscape, you know, all the medically oriented websites. It is extremely difficult to even find anything by using search engines anymore. And so
I totally agree with you. I was, you know, I hate this mask thing. And like when the virus just started, you could find a lot of stuff like about, you know, the particle size of the different viruses and different things like that in articles. But now you can only find the updated stuff, like from 2019, 2020. Like it is censored, and it's just crazy.